Are we going to be out really on TV?
Sure.
We are?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
When did you first feel that you were not part of the world around you?
14.
Were you the butt of jokes and barbs from the other children?
Yes.
Have you ever felt that you wanted to end your life?
Trans people have always been here. This isn't a new thing, despite the fact that people think, oh, this has just started.
I'd like to live a respectable life, that's for sure.
Was there anybody in those early days that you could talk to and tell about how you felt?
No, not until just about a year ago.
I mean, I transitioned 15 years ago, and I made my first film about being trans then because I thought there wasn't enough stuff, specifically enough stuff around like trans men.
And now, Vicky, would you tell us about a normal day in your life, a day during which you conform to society?
Actually, I'm living in two worlds, the female and the male world. As much as I favor the female world, because of a narrow-minded society, I have to conform to conventions.
I wanted to live in a world where people had at least awareness of trans experience, but now we're kind of seeing the double-edged sword of that.
Extreme and bullying and finger pointing and everything, you know?
The more people are aware of it, the more hate it gets, at least for a period of time while people are still figuring it out and trying to make sense of what that means for them, I guess.
So on my working days, I get dressed as a man because that's what society likes to see, and I do need the money for my operation. So I play the part of a male. But believe me, I don't like it one bit, because I feel like an imposter.
I can feel it. I can feel it. I know there's something wrong.
What was so awesome about Jackie, despite the fact that she knew she was born in the wrong body all the way back in Jim Crow, was that, like, she...
Hey, Mr. Cool Guy, take yourself a bow.
Knew that people were ultimately, their anger towards transness was fear.
People that don't understand, and when you don't understand the thing, you're inclined to be frightened of it.
And it was their own sense of self, and it was their own fear about what they were losing, I suppose, or what it means for their identity.
When you say you're going for a change, you're going to have an operation.
Yes.
What does that mean for me? What does that mean for society?
Vicky, you say you're engaged. What does your fiancé do?
He's a photographer.
Is he homosexual or is he straight?
No, he's straight, masculine.
Let me ask you this question. If he's masculine, wouldn't it be more normal for him to go out with a girl?
True, but I'm the nearest thing to a girl, and I'm going for a change.
I was floored by Jackie's quote, "I was born, but I never lived." How does that reflect how Jackie felt about her life?
I think for Jackie, particularly around that time, it was a very lonely time. It was a very transitional time for her. Not only was she socially transitioning and trying to figure herself out, but she's lost the audience, she's lost the stage. I think it was a time where things were very difficult. I think anyone who looks at her life would say, well, you definitely did live a great life in many ways, despite being recluse for a really long time. One of the reasons, and I guess from the trans experience, she feels she never lived, was sometimes when you feel like you're born in the wrong body, you feel like you missed out on all these opportunities, all these things, because of society.
So every morning when I walk to work, I stop and I see girls and I envy them, not because I like them physically, but I admire them for certain things that they're free to do what they like. Me, I have to hide, and I don't feel very right. It's not a normal thing to feel, but that's the way I am.
And I can only imagine how much more intense gender norms and expectations were at that point. You know, she says as well in that autobiography, like most women, all I, want to be is a man's wife.
The only thing I can remember my mother ever saying about my future was, Francie, you should marry a college professor because you like to read so much. And if you married a college professor, you'd always be in a place where there are a lot of books. That was the sole encouragement or instruction I received for my future.
I think for her, living wasn't just her fame, but it was also having a somewhat heteronormative white picket fence experience that was being served to society at that point.
I love to look at windows, especially lingerie windows. I love to see the pretty silks and satins, things I'll be wearing once I get my sex changed. I'll get a chance in life to get the things I really want instead of hide from society and men's clothes. And just to see these things make me tingle, and I know it would make men tingle too, and to see them on me, and especially if I was a woman.
We know it's not just about gender binaries. There's orientation binaries that we feel pressured by. There's racial binaries we feel pressured by, 100%.
Now, several of the other people we've interviewed are going to have the operation. Tell me something about it from your standpoint.
Well, it's a a step away from loneliness and suicide, because most of the homosexuals and drag queens, they get to a certain age and they don't want to live no more.
But I think one day it will come and it will be so accepted it won't even be thought about.
It won't have the social relevance and significance that it has today.
Is this just a pipe dream?
No, why should it be pipe dream? If you fight hard enough, it's no pipe dream.
During our 6-month research project, we interviewed literally thousands of homosexuals. We ran the gamut from those who betrayed not the slightest trace of feminine qualities to those like Vicky, who but for a quirk of fate had been born a woman. We know that homosexuality is a psychological aberration to be treated by a competent psychiatrist. But what of those like Vicky who don't want to be treated, who want to be women? Are we to judge?